Well, good afternoon, everyone. How is you? How you doing? Okay, we'll just wait for a few folks to come on and say hello, and hope you're having a great day. Patricia, your first one up today. Okay, let's just see here if we get a few people joining us. Elsie, Marcy, and Sandra from Aurelia. Nativity, good afternoon. Anne, how are you? Long time no see. Rosa, Denise, how are you? And Doris. Thanks for coming on, guys. Mary Jane, Connecticut. Carol from Kapuskasing, where Santa Claus lives. William, Zian, bonjour, and Jean. Anne, Chester, Nova Scotia. Elaine, Penticton, BC. Pina, how are you? Bernice, Newfoundland. Tammy, Bradford. Barbara, Hazel, St. John's, Newfoundland. Beautiful. Brenda, Babita, how are you? Rhea, thanks for coming on this afternoon. Wendy, welcome back, Wendy. Welcome back. Micheline, how are you doing? Anna and Louise, good having you on. Georgie, how are you? Halifax, Nova Scotia. Lise and Fran, Orangeville. Yeah. Deb and Yvonne, Marlene, and Ruth Ann, Marilyn, and Donna, and Michelle from Kippawa, and Diane from Ottawa. Our favorite doc, how are you? Dr. McEwen from Soggy, Tennessee, she says. Susan, and Rose, Marie, Cindy, Joan. Couple more and we'll get going. Terry, how you doing? Lise, and Penny. How are you, Penny? Charles, and Cleveland. Linda from the Okanagan. Beautiful out there. Mara and Susan. Guys, I hate to stop. I'm on a roll. Lise and Marlene. Okay, Marlene, nice to have you. I think we've been praying for you, haven't we, Marlene? Micheline, Christina. Okay, now, guys, in the last 2 years, what have we had an enormous increase in? Well, you could, lots of things have changed the last 2 years, but I'm going to tell you what really has changed. We have like an onslaught of anxiety and depression. According to the CDC, during August 2020 to February 2021, anxiety or depression has increased 41.5%. And I think that number is a lot higher than that. I think that number's a lot higher than yourself. Now, here's what I'm going to make a prediction as we go forward, okay? As we go forward, you have heard me say this before, but I call it the coming tsunami of mental health disorders. The coming tsunami. We're already seeing it in a lot of ways, and doctors everybody admits that one of the problems during this whole shutdown and the world has got turned upside down has been anxiety and depression. It's serious stuff. And that's a big problem because there's, I think, what did I read here? Let me give you some statistics, okay? 100 million people worldwide suffer from depression. 600 million. But that's not where it just stays there. The problem with depression, anxiety, if not fixed, one of the biggest side effects, physiologically, what happens inside your body. The Bible says it in chapter 12 of Proverbs. Anxiety leads to depression. Anxiety leads to depression. Okay, so what happens? If you are secreting high levels of cortisol, cortisol comes out of your adrenal glands. Cortisol is meant to have a part-time job. Cortisol, everybody makes cortisol because your adrenal glands, it's part of your, what we call your circadian rhythm. You wake up in the morning, your cortisol is higher. And as the day progresses, you don't need it as much because cortisol elevates your blood pressure, cortisol elevates your blood sugar, cortisol gets you going. But the problem is if you stay in that state, you know what I'm saying? You're in that state. What happens? Physiologically, you develop anxiety. You develop depression often. It's not the only cause, but it's a major cause. And one of the byproducts of that is when that anxiety, depression, you know what? It's insomnia. You develop a sleep disorder. Now, what am I saying when I say there is a coming tsunami? The coming tsunami is the amount of people, because of all this anxiety and depression and a lack of sleep. The coming tsunami is Alzheimer's. Now, we have really established, I believe, and I think you believe this too, is that food has an enormous effect on the brain, that they didn't call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes for nothing. Now, we know that. And one of the things, if you want to recapture your memory, you want to avoid dementia, and Alzheimer's just being part of that disease, you need to clean up your diet. You need to clean up your diet. Okay? And for another day, and I'm sure we'll talk about it often, we'll talk about the diet in the brain and sugar in the brain and insulin resistance and what it does. It kills your brain, especially in your hippocampus, those brain memory cells. We know that well established. But here's another factor. Cortisol does the same thing. Cortisol, that the drip, drip, drip of cortisol, when it shouldn't be, leads to insomnia. And the brain needs to sleep. Now, when I say that, the brain doesn't sleep, by the way. Well, it does and it doesn't, okay? I'm titling this little podcast today, Brainwashing. And I've explained this to you many a time. that while you sleep, your brain gets washed. The debris. The brain makes an enormous amount of energy. It takes a lot of energy to run your little brain. It takes a lot of energy. 25% of everything you eat goes first to the brain. Sounds like taxes to me. Goes first to the brain, and then the rest of the rest of the body fights for the other 75%. But 25% off the top goes to the brain. The problem with that, it's not a, I don't know if I hate to even use the word problem. It's just the way it is. But what the side effect of energy is debris. It's like a manufacturing plant. If they make a lot of stuff, there's a lot of waste. It's a byproduct. You need to sleep so that your brain has its own washing system. It's like a self-cleaning oven. The self-cleaning brain gets cleaned when you are asleep. And by the way, let me just say this, not with a sleeping pill. Oh, Doc, you know how many times I heard this in my office? Yeah, but I can't sleep without a sleeping pill. I said, well, Susie, you're not really sleeping with a sleeping pill. You're sedated. You're like going for an operation and they sedate you. Have you ever been operated on? Oh, I just feel so fantastic. I never slept like that in my life. I feel so good after an operation. No, not so much. Because you got sedated. Your brain was put to forcible sleep. It's really not good for you. It isn't. Okay, anyway. When you sleep, your brain cleans itself. It has its own lymphatic system. We've talked about that. The glymphatics. We didn't, you know what? When I was in school, never heard of it. Now, I heard of lymphatics, of course. You know, you got lymph nodes under your armpits, and you got lymph nodes in your throat area. And you know what lymph nodes are. You have them around your groin and things like that. That's the sewage system of your body. But your brain has its own sewage system. When they discovered that, I mean, that was like a national holiday for me. I was so excited. I said, man, oh man, what a God we have. He gave us a sewage system in the brain itself, but don't work if you're not sleeping. You have to make sleep a priority. Now, let me give you a little bit more. You don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. Your cortisol goes up, you don't sleep. No fun under the sun is that. I feel for the 70%. Yes, that's what they're saying. 70% of the population have trouble sleeping. Can I tell you something? Of course, you're going to say yes, because you can't stop me. Look, and I used to tell this to my patients all the time. If you can't sleep at night, would you please shut yourself down during the day and get a power nap? Because every study in the world shows that if you get a 15, 20-minute power nap in the day, you turn on your glymphatic system, even then, even for a short period of time. Because, and you know, a lot of patients used to give me, did I call it double talk? Well, here's what they would say. Doc, I don't sleep in the afternoon because I can't sleep at night. if I sleep in the afternoon. I said, okay, are you sleeping when you don't sleep in the afternoon? No. Well, I said, sleep in the afternoon. You're not sleeping anyway. You might as well have a little shut-eye during the day until you fix your nighttime problems. The significance, the coming tsunami is Alzheimer's and dementia. Dementia and Alzheimer's coming to a theater near you because of the amount. Cortisol is a brain killer. And one of its big side effects is the fact that it creates insomnia. It's one of the biggest factors in insomnia. Now, okay, I'm going to read you a study. Much higher risk of insomnia. This is from Harvard Health Publishing. 80% of psychiatric patients have a sleep disorder. See the connection? 80% of the psychiatric patients in the United States have some form of sleep disorder. Insomnia almost invariably, according to Harvard, is related to stress, anxiety, and depression. Depressive patients, bipolar patients, anxiety patients, ADD and ADHD patients often have trouble sleeping. Now, is it the chicken or the egg? What came first? But it shows you. And this is why I am so, whenever I had a bipolar patient, whenever I had someone depressed, whenever, and I see so much anxiety today. And, people, well, doc, I don't think I'm that anxious. I used to measure cortisol. Yes, you are. Cortisol's through the roof. And that's going to make you unwell, and it ain't good for your brain either. Make sleep a priority. Now, look, I understand, okay, believe you me, in 47 years of practice, just about, like sleep was a big, 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 big issue in my clinic. I could have had a sleep clinic. I could have had a diabetic clinic because I could have just treated diabetes and I would have had enough work, believe you me, for 10 Martin clinics. And sleep, huge. And I was really good at getting to the bottom line with these folks and helping them out in that way. Okay? And there's no easy, someone, like if we were commenting on the private Facebook group, people would say, well, just take, melatonin or, have this kind of tea or whatever. And hey, man, if it works for you, well, goody, goody gumdrops. See, I haven't heard that in a long time. Come out of my mouth. Remember that when I was a kid? You young people think, this Dr. Martin, man, what century was he born in? Like goody, goody gumdrops. No, but listen, guys. Listen. It's really, really important to work on sleep. Now, let me give you some stuff that I used to. First of all, numero uno, get your cortisol down. Numero duo, what do you want to do? Change your diets. One of the things about the reset, A lot of people have noticed that. When they get their insulin down, they find they sleep better. They get into a better sleep. Get your cortisol down. Get your sleep down. Get your insulin down. Get your sugars down. Very, very, very important. Now, what else is important? Well, this has been proven, guys, okay? Keep your bedroom cool. Keep your bedroom cool. Keep your bedroom dark. Okay? Now, let me just say why. When you, during the day, people ask me, what is melatonin, doc? Like, that's a supplement, right? Nah, it's not a... Look, you can take it as a supplement. I'm not the biggest fan of melatonin as a supplement, by the way, because it seems to have a shelf life, meaning that it might work at the start for certain people, but then after a while, it doesn't work anymore. Melatonin is something your body, your pineal gland, your third eye produces. It produces melatonin. Oh, your body produces it. Yes, your body produces it in two ways. How does it produce it? How does it come out of the pineal gland? When you see the sun, sunshine on my shoulder makes me happy. Viderma, during the day. Even if you live in Kapuskasing, where Santa Claus lives, if it's sunny out, yeah, you don't get vitamin D because it's 40 below, but you get melatonin. You get melatonin from your eyeballs to the third eye, your pineal gland, and you store melatonin. Helps you to sleep. And then, when it is pitch black, no lights. Can I say something controversial? There's two masks that you should wear. Okay? You guys know this answer. Two masks that I like. What are they? I'm waiting. It's a rapid test. What two masks do I like you to wear? Let me see. I hate to put you on the spot, but what two masks do I like? Okay. Now, you know what? I better not do. Vitamin A, Derek, you got it. Wendy, you got it. Wear your invisible mask. That's vitamin A. When you take vitamin A, when you get vitamin S, you get the best thing for your immune system. That is a mask, the invisible mask. There's no mask like it. One. The second one is the dark. Cover your eyes. If you can't make your room pitch black, do you know that I wear a mask when I go to sleep? I do. I put a mask on over my eyes. No light, because I want to make melatonin. Viderma during the day, melatonin, gives you melatonin, and darkness, pitch black darkness at night. Cool, dark room. Now for some people, put a little fan on, a little bit of noise, what they call white noise. I don't need it, but some people like that. Get off the blue light. Turn your smartphone off. Turn your iPad off. For people who have trouble sleeping, turn the TV off. And read a book. Have you read The Reset? Well, read it again. I'll put you to sleep at night. Okay? And cool, dark. No blue light. No blue light. That messes up your melatonin. Get your cortisol down. Try and be systematic. I just found over the years, I used to have patients. I gotta wait till the 11 o'clock news. Now, I know that sounds old, okay? And you get the 11 o'clock news, I'll go to bed. Are you sleeping? No. Well, try 10 o'clock and forget the news. And trying to be systematic about it. It's a good idea. Increase your melatonin, your serotonin, your feel-good hormones. Okay? Because you want to turn on that glial system, the self-cleaning oven, the brain washers. Your brain needs to be washed at night, and it don't happen if you're not sleeping. Got to do everything you can to sleep. I'll give you another little story, and let me close with this. I had a lady come in to the office, and I remember this because we had a good laugh about it. And she said, "Doc, I have trouble sleeping." And we got, her cortisol was pretty good, and this was good, and I tested everything, and I said, "Boy, how come you got, well, she said, "Could it be my pets?" I said, "What?" "Well, they want to sleep with me." I said, "Well, stop. They wake me up." I know you love your pets. She said, "Well, they want to sleep with me." I said, "I don't care. They're not married to you. Why do they have to sleep with you?" Anyway, we had a good laugh about it, but you know what? It fixed it when she put her foot down. Just a funny story that I remember. Okay, now guys, tomorrow is question and answer Friday. Are you ready? Did you send me in your questions? We sure appreciate it. It's always one of our best programs of the week. People like that question and answer, and I like doing it. Rapid fire. And sometimes I get off into some tangents. It gives me a morning workout on Fridays. I like it. Okay? So we'll talk to you soon, guys, because we love you, and I mean it.